In this challenge, we're going to focus on hitting the space key and getting the first sphere to fall. Now, if we look at sphere 1 in the hierarchy here, it's just a sphere. We need to make sure that a rigid body component is attached because that's going to enable gravity. From there, we can then actually detect collisions through onCollisionEnter, and we can figure out what we need to do from there. But for starters, all we want to focus on here is I hit the space key and the first sphere will fall. Now, when we are programming our games and applications, we want to do things in a very modular way. And foreshadowing ahead here, if I create a sphere script and I attach it to all three of them and I enable gravity, then all three of them will fall because they all have the same script. So how do we go about controlling each of these spheres? And that's where we need a central command. We need a game manager that's going to be communicating with the individual sphere who needs to drop first. And so let's create, for example, a game manager here. So let's create an empty object. We'll call it game manager. And then we're going to create a new C# script that's going to behave as our game manager. We'll let Unity compile, and then we're going to attach it to the game manager game object. And here we go, we select it, game manager, and let's double click and open that up. So the first thing here is we only care about the first sphere. And essentially, if space key, we're going to communicate to the first sphere, you should fall, which means essentially enable gravity on the first sphere. And this should already be triggering some clues for you. The game manager doesn't know about the spheres. So we need to identify sphere 1. We're going to define the game object of sphere 1, and that's all we're going to focus on. We just want to, from the game manager, communicate to that sphere 1 object and enable its gravity. And we need to make sure that sphere 1 has a rigid body. I'll see you in the challenge review.